Hey everyone, back again for another deep dive, and man, do we have a lot to unpack today.
I know, right? The PFL really brought the fireworks with this Battle of the Giants event in Riyadh.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge night of fights. And I think we got to start with the return everyone's been waiting for, Francis Ngannou. Back in MMA after almost 3 years, that boxing match against Anthony Joshua, and after everything that happened earlier this year with the loss of his son, Kobe.
It's hard to even fathom,
Yeah.
you know, coming back from something like that, to step back into the cage with that kind of weight on your shoulders.
Absolutely. And he didn't just come back. He dominated. First round knockout against Renan Ferreira.
Yeah, and that's the thing people need to understand about Ferreira. This isn't some random journeyman Gnu just walked over.
Yeah.
This is a guy who was on top of the world, the PFL heavyweight champion. He'd even beaten Ryan Bader earlier this year. And Bader, former Bellator champ, fought in the UFC. So for Ngannou to take Ferreira out like that,
It was a statement, for sure. And you could see it all, everything he was carrying with him in that post-fight interview.
yeah, incredibly emotional.
Dedicating the win to his son, you could tell how much it all meant to him. He even said, and I'm quoting here, "I only took this fight because of him. I hope people remember his name."
Wow. That just gives me chills, to come back from all that and for him to be thinking about that. Powerful stuff.
Yeah, for sure. This was more than just a fight. So the question now is, where does he go from here?
Right. Because that's a huge win. He's a champion again. Does he set his sights on boxing again? Does he stay in MMA?
And what a division to be in right now. The PFL heavyweight division is stacked.
Oh, absolutely. And with the PFL, they're not afraid to try and make those super fights happen.
Right, bring in the big names. Speaking of big names, Chris Cyborg. Another championship belt for the collection.
Five-time champ across 5 different organizations, unheard of.
UFC, Bellator, Invicta FC, Strikeforce, and now the PFL.
She's done it all.
And this wasn't just any win either. Larissa Pacheco was on a 10-fight win streak going into this fight.
Yeah, she's an absolute beast. And honestly, I think a lot of people, myself included, thought she might actually be the one to finally dethrone Cyborg.
She definitely pushed Cyborg in a way we haven't seen in a while.
It was a much closer fight than I was expecting.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely not the walkover a lot of people thought it might be.
Speaks to Pacheco's skill, for sure.
Absolutely. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. There were some other huge EE fights on this card. We got to talk about Eblin and Edwards.
Oh, man, that rematch.
Everyone was waiting for this one, especially after that first fight ended the way it did.
Yeah, you don't see too many knockouts like that, especially in a title fight.
For sure. So this time around, a lot of anticipation to see how Edwards would adjust. Could he avoid another devastating knockout?
It was a different fight this time around, that's for sure.
Eblin wins by decision, but man, what a tactical battle.
Eblin really showed off his Fed IQ in this one.
Yeah, he really controlled the pace, kept Edwards guessing the whole time.
And that's the thing about Eblin. He can wrestle, he can strike, and he doesn't mind grinding out a win if he has to.
And with this win, he's now 16-0.
16-0, that's insane. Hard to argue with that kind of record.
He's got to be considered one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world right now.
Without a doubt.
But speaking of impressive streaks, we can't forget about Paul Hughes.
Oh, yeah. Talk about an upset.
Going into this one, I don't think anyone had Hughes beating A.J. McKee.
McKee's the real deal. Former champ, so well-rounded.
He's a threat everywhere, but Hughes really showcased some next-level skills in there.
Outstruck him for a good chunk of the fight, which you don't see too often. And that takedown defense. McKee's got a slick ground game, but Hughes just shut it down completely.
It was a tactical clinic, a star-making performance for sure.
Absolutely. Beating a guy like McKee like that on a card like this, huge moment for Hughes.
Huge statement from him. And for me, it really speaks to the depth of talent in the PFL right now.
Seriously. From top to bottom, these divisions are stacked.
And with the way the PFL is structured, with the regular season format and everything.
Makes every fight matter that much more.
Absolutely. But I want to circle back to Ngannou for a sec, because I don't think we can overstate how impressive his return really was.
Yeah, hard to top that.
Think about it. This was his first fight back in MMA since losing that title fight to Cyril Gane.
January 2022, right?
Yeah, over 2 years ago. He tests himself against Fury in boxing, doesn't get the win, but still earns a ton of respect for stepping outside his comfort zone like that.
And let's be real, he got paid.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But then to go through what he went through earlier this year, losing his son, and to come back with that kind of intensity, that fire.
It's incredible,
Yeah.
The mental fortitude that takes.
Really makes you think about what it means to be a fighter, what it means to overcome adversity.
Yeah, some serious mental strength.
And you could see it in the cage. He looked like a completely different fighter out there.
The Danu of old, just an absolute force of nature.
Powerful, explosive. It makes you wonder if this move to the PFL was exactly what he needed.
A fresh start, a chance to write his own story.
And he's already off to a great start, you know? Champion again.
So the big question now, who's next?
The heavyweight division is wide open. You got Ante Delija, the current champ. But then there are all these potential super fights, you know?
Oh, yeah. Imagine Ngannou versus John Jones.
Oh, stop it.
Or even a rematch with Stipe Miocic.
Don't even get me started. The possibilities are endless.
The heavyweight division is back, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine the hype for those fights? Ngannou versus Jones. Or Ngannou versus Miocic. Those are pay-per-view numbers right there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You're talking about some of the biggest names in combat sports, and the PFL has shown that they're willing to spend the money to make those fights happen.
And you know what? The fans want to see it. Everyone wins.
Absolutely. But let's not forget about the other big story of the night. Chris Cyborg.
The GOAT.
5-time champ. 5 different organizations.
It's almost hard to wrap your head around, you know?
Yeah, it really is. She's just built differently. The work ethic, the dedication, the constant drive to improve. You don't see that very often.
And it shows in her fighting. She's still evolving, still finding ways to dominate.
Like, think about this win over Pacheco. This is a fighter who's beaten Cyborg twice before.
And she just went out there and completely shut her down.
Dominated every aspect of the fight.
It's incredible, you know?
You'd think after achieving everything she has, there wouldn't be that same drive. But she just keeps proving everyone wrong.
Yeah, she's mentioned a possible retirement tour in the past.
Really?
Yeah, but honestly, part of me thinks she's got a few more years in her.
I wouldn't be surprised. She's just on another level.
Absolutely. But we're getting sidetracked. We got to finish talking about this PFL card.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
Well, we talked about Eblin and Edwards. That was a big one. But what about Paul Hughes, man?
Oh, yeah.
Huge win for him, taking out a former champ like A.J. McKee.
The way he just shut down McKee's ground game was incredible.
Yeah.
McKee's a beast on the ground.
For sure. And Hughes just neutralized it completely.
And the striking, too. Hughes
Yeah.
was landing some bombs in there.
He really controlled every aspect of that fight.
I think we're looking at a future title contender right there.
I'm with you on that one. And that's what's so exciting about the PFL right now.
Yeah.
They've got this great mix of veterans and up-and-comers.
Makes every fight exciting.
For sure. You never know who's going to come out on top.
It's anyone's game.
Exactly. And then, of course, you have the whole regular season format.
Which is genius, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Every fight matters. Every win counts towards making it to the playoffs.
Exactly. It creates this level of intensity and excitement that you don't see in other organizations.
It's like the NCAA tournament of MMA.
Exactly.
I love it.
But I think we got to circle back to Ngannou one last time.
Can't get enough of the Predator, huh?
You can't talk about this event without talking about him, you know? His return was just...
Electric.
Yeah, electric, that's the word. The energy in the arena was insane.
I bet.
And the way he finished that fight...
Brutal.
But it's more than just that, you know? It's the fact that he came back at all after everything he's been through.
True.
Losing the title to Gane, the boxing match with Fury, and then, of course, the personal tragedy with his son.
Yeah. Gotta have a ton of respect for the guy.
To overcome all of that and step back into the cage, it takes a special kind of person.
No doubt about it.
And now he's back on top, a champion again.
The story is not over yet, though. This is just the beginning for Ngannou in the PFL.
I can't wait to see what he does next.
Me neither.
It really feels like he's found a new home in the PFL.
Yeah, you can tell he's energized, motivated, and the PFL is the perfect place for him right now. They're building something special over there.
No doubt, and with Ngannou leading the charge, things are only going to get bigger and better.
Oh, yeah. The future is bright for the PFL and for Francis Ngannou.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good to me.
We've covered a lot of ground today. From Ngannou's triumphant return to Cyborg's continued dominance, and everything in between. The PFL's Battle of the Giants did not disappoint.
Definitely lived up to the hype.
For sure. What were some of your favorite moments?
Man, where do I even begin? Ngannou's knockout was obviously huge, but for me, it was the emotion of it all. You could tell how much this fight meant to him, and that post-fight interview, just raw emotion.
I got chills watching it.
Me too. And Cyborg, man, what can you even say about her at this point? 5-time champ, different organizations. The woman is a legend.
Absolutely. One of the greatest fighters of all time, male or female.
No doubt.
It's been amazing to watch her career unfold.
Hmm.
And she's not done yet.
Not even close.
But for now, we got to wrap things up. Big thanks to everyone for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the PFL's Battle of the Giants.
And make sure you check out our next episode. We'll be breaking down all the action from Bellator's upcoming event.
Until then, keep training, keep learning, and we'll see you in the cage.